Welcome to Wilder Mind.
Papa Julia.
Win in Michigan.
There you go.
Man. Cheers.
Welcome in.
Not reaching over this time, JB.
Thank you, boys, for having me.
Yes, sir.
Tasty and cold.
Well, here we go, another episode of Wilder Minds. I don't even know what episode we're on right now, but
Enough.
we are back. We are all in studio, and we actually have a guest today.
We do.
Want to dive into a little bit of setup and kind of where?
Go
ahead.
Okay. I've got something. Have you guys heard of this? And this is very funny, and I'm sure you've seen the clip. It's the Cooper's Hill cheese rolling wheel contest in England. Have you seen this?
How did we go from introducing Dakota to the cheese wheel?
Let's get into
this is just real
first.
quick. You guys had to have seen. Did you guys see the guy
man
running down
falling
the hill
down
and
the hill.
helicoptering in the air?
Yes, I've seen it. Yes.
Did you see it?
Yes.
I have not.
Yeah.
So
Have you seen this?
Yes.
All right.
This
So we
is-
got two that have, two that haven't.
Yeah.
What is
So
it?
it's amazing. So in England, they've been doing it since the early 1800s, and they roll like the 7-pound wheel on the top of it's like a 7-story hill, like 70 feet, 80-foot hill on a 50-degree decline.
Well, when you say wheel of cheese?
A wheel of cheese.
Yeah.
7 to 8 pound
Is
wheel
this in
of cheese.
Wisconsin?
England. It's actually in near Brockworth, England.
Oh, yeah.
And they raced us a 200-yard down, downward descent.
Yeah.
And they roll the cheese and they run. There's like 3 different heats, and the first person to cross the line at the bottom wins. And these people sprint down this hill,
But they do
sprint.
not because they lose it fast.
Oh my God!
They
I just
tumble.
saw the clip. You guys got it.
Rolls
Maybe
all
we'll
the way.
pull it up here on the. Those guys will pull it up there. It is unbelievable. This one guy, and he wanted to win bad, so he sprints from the top, and you know how you start losing your legs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He loses legs about halfway down, and he flips, and he rolls twice, and then he like hits this ramp, and there's 3 different angles of it. There's a guy on the right side of the hill, guy on the left side, and there's a guy like way back in the distance, and he flips one time, and he goes way up in the air, and then he just disappears into the bushes. Oh, I think he died. He could have died.
So he turned
Seriously.
the jets on when he shouldn't have. Got a little too steep.
He got a little too steep. So I wish you guys. Do you guys have it pulled up there?
We don't have the TV in here.
Oh,
we
we
just
don't
use
have
it
TV.
in the conference room.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
You got to watch it. It's pretty incredible.
That's a bad. Let's be honest though. That's a bad feeling. Anybody who's ever packed meat out of the backcountry knows that lose your legs feeling when you're going downhill.
Oh, yeah.
You get like 100 pounds of
No
meat on your
stopping it.
back and you start going.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I mean, at some point you're past. You hit the point of no return.
Yeah.
So here's some information on some injuries have happened. In 1982, a team of students from the University of Bristol filmed the event on May 31st using cameras. He said 16 people were injured, 4 of them seriously, chasing cheeses down the hill with its 1 in 3 gradient, which is steep. And then 100 people attended. Yeah, there's thousands of people going.
There's
to
a
this thing.
Netflix documentary about this.
Yes, there is.
I watched it.
There
I've
is.
seen a teaser.
Yeah, there's a
of
Netflix
this.
documentary.
Terrible
about
way
it.
to die.
It's a
Terrible way to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're drunk.
Unreal.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the show, Dakota.
Shot out of a cannon.
Shot
Here we
out of a
go.
cannon. We're in the cheese wheel.
Here we go.
We're in the cheese wheel. For those of you that are watching and listening, we've got a special guest today who is now up to speed on cheese wheels
Learn something
In
every
England.
day.
every day. Pro fisherman Dakota Ebare. Let's get that right. Dakota
don't mess-
Ebare.
I don't understand how people can make the easiest name in the world like so damn difficult.
I mean, it's literally spelled EBARE.
E-B-A-R. E-Bear.
Ebare.
Very
Dakota
easy.
Ebare.
But from Louisiana, that throws it into a million different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
people think you got to throw the French in there, the Cajun.
I've
in there.
actually like argued with somebody for like 5 minutes on how to spell my last name. Like they're like, so it's Ebare. No, it's Ebare. So it's spelled Herbert. No, it's spelled E-B-A. Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I think.
Pretty much my
Like
whole
the
life.
quarterback?
Yeah. Unreal.
It's like hay bear. It's like hay bear for us. That would be the
Well,
equivalent.
we
Y'all
got
say hay bear up here?
Hay bear.
Oh wow.
Way up that we do
Yeah.
in
Up
Alaska.
here. Yeah.
When we have to.
that is
Hey,
the
bear.
official defense for bear attacks in Alaska. I don't know if you do that or not.
Hay
but
bear.
Hey, bear.
That is, we have stopped.
They stop.
We have successfully
Do they
stopped
stop?
every attempted bear attack we've ever had by screaming
Hey,
hey
bear.
bear.
Oh my God! Will you knock on something here? We're leaving for Alaska and now.
just said
it's
shut
like
out
shut
the
out in
third.
the third. You just said it. Now here we
Oh
go.
boy. Well, I know what happened. Jinx yourself.
Yeah.
You'll know when you hear it.
Yep.
You know when you hear it.
Well, we'll find out. You blame me when you get this one on film.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting stuff. So Dakota's up here right now. He's visiting. We're going through some fun stuff. Just really cool to get to know you a little bit. We've talked on the phone so much, but then you're up here and with one of our good buddies, Gabe, and just it's been a fun day so far, man. So I'm glad to get a chance to sit in and hang out with us.
Yeah, it has, absolutely. I mean, both of us have pretty busy schedules, and trying to make everything collide has been a challenge. But glad we got to finally meet and come up here and hang out for a day. And even though we had to tag Gabe along, he's not.
Yeah, you had to bring him. You had to bring him. He's back there.
I can't even see him. He's in the shadows.
Yeah,
back
he's in the
there.
shadows back there somewhere. But
his ego's dying right now. He's not in the limelight.
You're going to come in and at least wave to camera, Gabe?
Yeah, he's like, no.
We'll throw a picture of you up.
Yeah,
yeah, we need a big picture.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
too
back
funny.
there. So
Between tournaments right now, like what's going on? What's going on in the fishing? Give everybody a little bit of background on, because we got a big hunting audience, right? But you come from the fishing side right now, so let's talk about that. Give everybody a little insight.
Yeah, man. Always been passionate about hunting and fishing. Really, my whole life. It's just been kind of a way of life growing up in South Louisiana. But the fishing industry, like, really, it's been great to me. And it just kind of took off. I didn't really see it coming. It started out as just a guy that loved to fish. Loved to hunt and fish, and then started fishing tournaments in college, and it just kind of took off from there. And one opportunity led to another door opening, and here we are now. So I fished on the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour for a couple of years, and then just really always wanted to fish. Everybody's familiar with Bassmaster, pretty much everybody's heard of the Bassmaster Classic, and that's always been a dream, a goal of mine, an aspiration of mine to fish the Bassmasters Classic and be a part of that Elite Series trail. So last year I stepped down from the professional level of fishing, went back to a AAA, basically qualifying league to get to the Bassmaster Elite Series. And so this year is my rookie year on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and it's been a whirlwind. I've kind of been getting my butt kicked all year, but it's just one of them things where, man, sometimes it just seems like you walk in the woods and just 150-inch deer just walking in the tree, and you're like, man, I don't even deserve that, But then you go out there and you work your tail off, and things don't necessarily go right, or you scout and you put in all the preparation, and just sometimes things just don't go your way, and I think those are the times where you probably learn the most, even in the woods, and it's the same way on the water. So it's been a learning year for me for sure, and it's been a little bit of a challenge, but really looking forward to the next couple of events that we have coming up. We'll actually be up here in a few weeks. Actually, a couple months. We'll be at St. Clair in August, but next tournament's on Tenkiller in Oklahoma.
Okay.
It's in northeast Oklahoma. It's in second week of June, and we got July off. Then we come up here to St. Clair in August, and then we'll finish up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. So we've got 3 more Elite Series events left. So hoping to make up some ground there.
St. Clair is ridiculous. Have you fished it before?
I have. I've fished on it a few times, and I will say, all disclaimer, people watching, I can't get any information on St. Clair, so we can't really talk about it because we have rules in the Elite Series where as soon as they announce the schedule, it's off limits for information. So everything. It's to kind of make it to where it's on their own. You might know the best places to fish on St. Clair, and it wouldn't be fair for me to.
Sure.
Now, people bend those rules and break them, whatever, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, well, I get you. Just the fishery itself is legendary.
But just for sake of conversation, it is a phenomenal world-class fishery, and we always look forward to going there for sure.
Well, good news is I don't know anything about St. Clair other than it's a great fishery. And I've always known it from musky. Like musky fishing is really it's a big deal down there. So.
Sturgeon?
We actually, one of my buddies, Cole Floyd, we were at a Bass Pro Tour event there a couple of years ago. He was fighting like a 4-pound smallmouth and a
big musky.
Giant musky took it from him, man. And I mean, can you imagine being in a tournament where this fish, maybe worth $100,000 and a musky takes it from you?
That's all for cares. I've had that happen up north, pike on pike or pike on walleye, but never musky on bass. That's interesting.
They are huge, man. It's wild whenever they get after them. It's nuts.
I'll be honest, I'm going to throw it out there. I don't get the musky fisherman. Fish of 1,000 casts. Just go fish up in northern Canada for big northerns. You catch 20
like
of them
right now.
20 of them in a day.
First ice out.
Oh,
it's happening soon, man.
I can remember the first time I ever, fished up north. We were at a college championship on Bemidji in Minnesota. And we stopped at Leech Lake on the way up there just to fish, and we were still in college, just having fun, enjoying the road trip. And I remember walking in that tackle store, and there's like a whole damn beaver bait with a treble hook this big, and I'm like, what in the hell was that for? Like, musky, it's all we fish for. I'm like, what? And they're like, what are you doing with that bass boat? And I'm like, we're going bass fishing. I'm like, why?
Why would you do
Looking
that?
at me like we're
Are you catching bait to musky fish with?
Yeah, like, what are you doing? So, like, it's a whole culture up there, man. I mean, it was unreal. It was pretty cool to see. Well, fast forward, and it's funny because the guy at the tackle store told us, he was like, man, he's like, you're probably going to end up catching a muskie. You know, we fish all summer long for the chance to catch one, and bass fishermen catch them all the time by accident, and we catch big bass all the time, and we don't care about catching them. And I'll be damned, the first daggum day we went out there, and I'm in a brand new, my first new boat that I'd ever had. My buddy that was with me at the time, he's throwing a buzzbait at the back of the boat, and this giant muskie comes up and eats it. And he gets it all the way to the side of the boat, and he's like, dude, I got to get it. I got to take a picture of this thing. And I was like, man, the guy told us, do not, like, put him in your boat because they'll destroy it.
Cradle him
don't
and keep him in.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, he's just dying to have a picture of this thing. I'm like, dude, whatever, but just don't drop him.
Yeah.
Brand new boat. You know how musky.
That's the
musky. Stinks.
Stinky, slimy.
Bruh. He picks this thing up, and I have a picture. Like, I'd have to go way back in my iMessage thing, but I have a picture of it. Like, that's whenever those live pictures first come out. And the picture, like, when you press it, it's him slapping him clean across the side of the face. And then he drops it in the bottom of the boat, and it just wrecks out my boat. I'm like, dude, we could have burned the boat. It's
carpet?
So bad. Oh, carpet. Absolutely.
Oh, no.
Terrible. But it was a giant one. And we told them guys at the tackle store, like, dude, we caught one. They were like, how big was it? I'm like, I don't know. It was really big. And they're thinking it's going to be like a 40-incher. No, he's holding it like this.
Yeah.
It's giant.
Yep.
50 plus.
Complete by accident.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a 25, 30-year-old fish.
Yeah.
You know, that's the cool part about that. Those big pike up north, we're getting ready to go up north and do some fishing in Manitoba. And those big fish up there, you're looking at, you know, a 20-pound fish, so 40 inches, 20 pounds is at least 20 years old.
That's wild.
Because that water's just so damn cold.
So cold. It takes same thing with the bass. It takes forever for a bass to get to 5 pounds up there.
Yep.
But
versus Florida or, you know,
Sure.
I mean, fish down there, it's like they grow overnight.
But they get half a year to break.
Yeah.
Like they don't, you know, so that's what makes the northern fisheries so good is because they just don't get nearly the pressure that our southern fisheries get because they get pounded all year.
Yeah.
You know, at least most of the year. They're under ice and they're not getting fooled with, so it just makes them so much. That's like it's like a fresh fishery every spring whenever the ice goes away. You know, fishing is second to none up here.
It's my favorite trip that we've ever done as far as like a fishing side of things. Just going up northern Canada and doing that whole thing, the fly in, and we kind of cut our teeth up there in that space for a long time when we were little, and so that was like our thing. Northern pike, walleye, Lakers, where we could get some Lakers depending on which lake we were on, grayling. But man, there's nothing better up there getting over a pot of walleyes and just a school of walleyes and just like it's like. Who's hungry?
They've never seen a bait.
And you they've never seen anything. So it's catch them and throw them in the back while someone's filleting. And once you have just enough for lunch, you're like, good, pull over, shore lunch, right back in. I mean, it's just something about it. It's incredible. I love it up there. So
I've actually never been up there. I've heard all about it, like Lake of the Woods and all of that stuff. I've never been up there. I mean, I've fished in Canada some, but it's always been on the St. Lawrence River in New York and Ontario. And Ontario itself, some in Lake Erie as well, but I've never been like that.
Yeah, we're up there, man. We're way at the top of Manitoba where we're going this.
When you get up there, it's funny because the lakes that we fish up there. I mean, this lake in particular that we're going to doesn't have any Lakers in it. The deepest spot in the entire lake is like 15 feet.
Really?
Yeah. And so the northerns just, I mean, they reign supreme.
It's probably full of grass. And
Once you get July, August, cabbage.
You find a little pocket or you find a little hole, you'll find walleyes in it. You find a little pinch where there's a little bit of flow to it, you'll find walleyes. But other than that,
is there many smallmouth in that or
no, none?
No, they would make it.
You hit that threshold.
So many northerns.
I think it's too cold, and there's just so many northerns. Like you hit a threshold at a certain point, you start getting up around like the 50th parallel, and that's where it's like from that point up, there's no bass. It might even be below that. It's like northerns are just king.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's pretty cool.
And to me, I mean, you get a big 40-inch northern tail walking across the water.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're a bass fisherman's nightmare. We hate them.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Well, they just tear up everything.
Yeah.
You throw a spinnerbait out there and it's just
well, and you know, the part that a lot of people don't realize up there is like they're actually every bit as good to eat as a walleye, probably a little bit better. You get
delicious.
We call them eaters. You get like a 28-inch northern. You can keep it and eat it.
Good cold water northerns.
There's a certain way of cleaning them though, right?
Yeah,
they're pretty bony, right?
Y bones.
Yeah, take the Y bones.
But guys down here, you say that to a guy that catches them down here that's a bass fisherman, they're like, oh my God, you eat northern? Like they taste like mud. It's like, not up there, they don't. It's a whole different.
It's different.
Whole different deal.
Well, even down south, man, I mean, like, I'm not afraid to eat a bass, but like our fisheries get so stagnant during the summer, they don't taste that great. But if you go to like just a little small river or something that has current flowing all year, even in Texas where I live at now, you can eat those fish all year and they taste fine, but you go catch one out of a lake or something that doesn't have that current. So just that little bit of temperature difference makes it tolerable to, it makes them pretty good to eat. I can only imagine,
up there, cool, clean,
always cold,
60
and clean.
degree, like the warmest that water gets is like 60 degrees, 62 degrees.
Yeah, that would make it hard. Those bass probably can't even spawn up there ever.
No, not able to do it.
So I've always wanted this, and walk me through this for a second. So in a fishing tournament, obviously you get practice days, right? And you get a chance to get out there and do it. So as a hunter, right, we open up the map, we look at our property, and we kind of know, okay, inside corner, there's going to be a ridge here, there's certain things. How does it work in the practice on a lake you've never fished before? Obviously, you got to figure it out. Are you looking at that kind of stuff, looking at the depths and what's going on? And like, are you
structure
without obviously giving away all your tips? But the idea is like when you're looking at something like that, what are you looking for? Are you looking for depth changes and then certain things, and then go ahead and test fish certain lures certain times a year? Is that how that all works? Because I'm just new to that style of fishing.
So man, there's just so many variables that go into that. Right? What type of fishery is it? Like, is it a rock lake? Does it have a lot of grass? Does it have a lot of flooded vegetation? Does it have lily pads? Or so are you in Florida? Is it a Florida strain of bass? Is it smallmouth? Is it spotted bass? So there's different variations of different species of bass that they all behave somewhat different, but at the end of the day, there's still a fish out there and they're still trying to just survive and eat and not get eaten. And it's the same thing with the deer, right? I think if a white-tailed deer in Montana, he behaves a little bit differently than a deer in Atlanta, Georgia, but his goal's still the same. He's still trying to accomplish the same thing, and so are the fish.
That makes sense.
They're just relating to their environment a little bit differently. A bass that lives on a boulder in Lake Ontario, he's living by that boulder the same way that a bass lives by a stump on a river in Louisiana. He just, their environment's a little bit different. So you target them with different techniques and stuff, but if you keep it simple, you don't. I think the hardest thing about deer hunting at times is we make it too hard.
Overthink it.
Give
them too much credit.
And we'll do the same thing fishing for sure. But there's definitely a lot of homework that can go into preparing for these tournaments, just knowing what kind of tackle you need to kind of bring and prepare yourself to have. And because we'll have a couple days of practice and then you get thrown right into the event. And sometimes these places there's not a Bass Pro Shops right down the road that you can go get tackle at. So just being prepared from that standpoint is really important. And then just being spending time on the water, same thing with being in the woods. It's just so important to being able to know that the weather's changing, feel that barometric pressure change, or paying attention to the weather out and saying, all right, well, I'll give you an example. Okay, we might be fishing a lake with a bunch of docks, and in practice it's sunny, right? All the fish are underneath the docks, and you can go flip docks all day long with a jig or something and get a lot of bites. Well, you look at the tournament forecast, and on the first day of the tournament, it's cloudy.
Okay.
Well, those fish aren't sitting underneath those docks anymore, so that bite's gone. So you can't set yourself up for failure in that way. So there's a lot of planning and stuff. It's just like finding a perfect funnel transition area, bedding the feeding, and knowing that in the next 4 days it's gonna be a north wind that blows out the bedding area. It's great, but it ain't no good for you in that moment.
You're fishing in the future, really.
Sure,
that's how you got to set yourself up.
In practice, especially, you're always trying. And then even the day of the tournament, things change by the minute. And so being able to fish in the moment, knowing how to make those adjustments as the tournament progresses, as the conditions change, that's the key to success, without a doubt.
When you're on the water for the practice stuff, do you will you? If you catch a big fish, will you mark the address of that fish and know where he's at and try to go back for him? This comes from I'm a diehard fly fisherman, and so we've got one of the greatest brown trout rivers this side of the Rocky Mountains, an hour from here. It's literally our home waters.
Unbelievable.
And throughout the course of the fly fishing season, you get the address of certain fish, where they live and when they rise and how they do what they do. And so you go back at certain times a year when you're most likely to catch them to try and target those fish in the river system. Now they'll move. They'll move up. We know guys that have caught browns 1.5 miles, 2 miles apart in the same river. But for the most part, they'll stay. And so you can go back and target. Is it the same with if you catch a big dog during practice, is it dude, I can come back and target that fish?
Very rarely do that same fish, if you catch it, is going to bite again within the tournament period. Now, if it's spawning, there's a chance that it would. But a lot of times some of my most successful practices, I might not even catch but 1 or 2 fish the whole time. Now, I'll throw baits without hooks in them. So like if I'm throwing, let's say, a topwater bait, like a topwater frog, I'll throw that bait by a cypress tree, and I'll have my hooks cut off of it. And that fish will come up, roll, and eat that bait. Well, it's not going to get hooked, and I'll dang sure take note of that.
You got his address.
And there has for sure been times where I've went back and caught the exact same fish that bit me during practice. I didn't catch him. I just shook him off, I just didn't actually hook
that
him.
makes sense.
See, that's to me, that's like next level. I love that kind of shit. That's like next level.
And it is cool, man. Like, there's been times where and fish relate differently at different times of year and different situations and stuff. But sometimes when things line up, they'll stay, for a while. There might be a resident fish that's living by that stump, during the summer, post spawn. That's his home. That's where he lives. It's where he ambushes prey every day. It's where he hides. It's where he lives. And you can dang sure go back and catch that fish in the tournament at times, but you just never know. I mean, there's 100 other guys out there practicing. The next guy that comes by there might get that same bite, and he might stick him. Then the fish doesn't bite. So you can't count on it, but it is cool whenever you have that fish that you find. You're like, there's a big one living right here, and then you go back the first day of the tournament, and it happens. And it has. It's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But very rarely though does that actually kind of like come to fruition. But what I key in on is not that fish bit me on that stump. It's that a fish bit me on a stump, and that was a piece of cover that maybe bass are relating to, and it's something that I can duplicate, a pattern that I can replicate across the lake.
So you're looking at it macro, saying like, if that worked here, maybe those other scenarios that are like this.
The best thing that you can do through a practice period in preparing for a tournament is not necessarily get bites on that particular day and then put together an algorithm in your head about how you're going to go do. It's just getting in tune with the lake, like understanding the bass are pre-spawn, post-spawn, they're spawning, the shad are spawning, the bluegill are spawning. What's going on in the lake, and how can I set myself up for success in the next 4 or 5 days?
Okay. So it's similar. I mean, it's pre-rut, post-rut, what's going on, or rattling working, grunt, are we hunting scrapes? I mean, so it's taking that same kind of approach, but you're going to the lake with it.
Subsurface.
And it's subsurface, exactly, which
there
is really kind of cool.
So many similarities. So many similarities between hunting and fishing. I mean, the way that they relate, how many times you shot a deer on a pinch point, on a point literally of a drain or a funnel or whatever? How many times you caught a bass or a musky or a walleye or something on a point of a lake or something? So it's funny how they're one's predator, one's prey, depending on your perspective, but man, they relate to their environment the same. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
What's the one that got away? What's the one where you're just like, oh, man.
The tournament.
That
fish got me the win, and it came off in the last 5 minutes.
I've had a couple of them this year that none of them would have got me the win, but definitely would have got me like to the next round. The next round, the semifinal day. That I've just been one of those years where it seems like, man, they just keep coming off. Like, I mean, the fish I need for $5,000 just comes off, and it's like, oh my gosh, man. And it's not necessarily even that I did anything wrong in some of those circumstances. It's just been one of those years where it seems like if it could go wrong, it's went wrong, and you'll have that. I mean, I've been very fortunate throughout my career, and this has been one of those years where it seems like, man, dadgummit, bro.
Get it over with.
No. I'm actually really embracing it because I know that it's making me better. Like, I know you have to learn to grow in the valleys and appreciate where you're at, even when it's not where you want to be, and know how to make the most of those opportunities whenever you have an opportunity to grow and get better and look at things from a different perspective of just having a bunch of success all the time. But there has been some over the years, man. I remember a couple years ago, we were in a Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour event in Louisiana, and it was a big bass tournament, basically. And I had 3 different fish dang near in my hands, and each one of those fish were worth $50,000. I lost all 3 of them.
No, dang!
Like, I had 3 opportunities at $50,000 because the big bass of the day weighed $50,000. And I had 3 of them that day that were easily over the 6-pounder that ended up winning. And I lost all 3 of them, like, pretty much in my hands.
I'm just gonna. I mean, you suck.
It was, dude. It was bad, man. It was a bad. It was a heartbreaker.
Yeah, you start getting into 6-figure fish like that, and that's a tough day on the water. Right
sucks, man.
No doubt.
God.
Talk about one of your biggest wins. From day 1 to day 2 to the weigh in to the were you nervous to the did you know you had a bag that could have take first, like. Walk through one of those.
All of them are special for sure. Like, and they all have their own things that make them that way. But I'd say like the Hartwell. I won a not Hartwell. Where were we at? Clark's Hill. So I won a Major League Fishing Invitational there on Clark's Hill, and that was my first like tour level win. And it was just a really unique event in a way that, like, it just all come together, man. It was like a perfect week. It's like I couldn't do nothing wrong. Like I fished in different ways. Fished up shallow the first day when there was still a bunch of fish up there, and caught them that way. And then I caught them out deep in the middle of the event, and then towards the end of the event I caught them off a brush, and it was just something that just all come together.
Yeah.
It was a really, really cool,
That's awesome.
you know, event for me, and it was a really big boost for my career, honestly, in that
And
moment.
confidence too, right?
For
just to
sure.
know that you can compete and
For
you can
sure.
win. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, one of the things I've noticed is when you came out hot. You fished.
See, everybody says that.
Didn't you fish like 20 or 35?
Well, I did, but it's funny because everybody's like, man, you just come out of nowhere and start having success. I'm like, no, man, I was grinding in the trenches for a few years. Y'all just didn't hear about me because it wasn't an overnight success story. You know, I graduated in 2017 from college, and at that point I made a decision. I was like, look, man, I'm going to see if I can make this work.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to go all in on it. And I'd saved up a little bit of money and from working every job that I possibly could. And, you know, one thing led to another with other opportunities. But whenever I got that opportunity, I ran with it. You're right. And I fished as many tournaments as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like, I guess, my staple. Like, that was what people knew me as a guy that was going to fish every tournament that was out there.
If there's a tournament, you're there.
I
you're
was
fishing.
there, you know, and I hate that I've kind of gotten away from that in a way, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why I'm struggling right now.
Yeah.
It's just the business side of things has kind of gotten to me where it seems like I'm not on the water as much as I used to, and I think that's definitely hurt me. So I've got to learn, and I've heard that me and Kevin have had those conversations, and that's just part of the growth of the business and learning how to. It's easy in the beginning whenever you don't have any expectations, you don't have any obligations.
Yeah.
You know, it's just you fishing, trying to make something of yourself, trying to make it work.
Doing the thing.
Just doing
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you got all these outside obligations in life and everything else that starts getting in the way, and learning how to, I mean, they're all important, very important. I mean, we can't do it without those business obligations, and you're thankful to have them.
Yep.
But learning how to facilitate all of them in a productive way to where you make those guys happy.
Yep.
And, you know, you do a good job for them, but you're also able to maintain that success.
Yeah, I mean,
Without
there's
burning out.
Yeah, and there's so many parallels to that in like our career in business.
Yeah.
You know, as we got as the business and Rooster became more successful and drops started, you know, hit, and then it wasn't just about making the show anymore. It was about growing the business. It was about, you know, finding the best employees, the best editors, the best shooters, and then pretty soon it was like, oh yeah, drops coming up again. Yeah. And we got to focus on that, but there's so many other things, obligations that kind of don't take your eye off the prize, because it's always there and it's the reason for the growth.
Sure.
And you got to be thankful for it, but it's not as simple anymore as just let's make this show, this project, the best we can possibly make it.
No, that first season it dropped. That's what we had to do that fall, was dropped. Like, that was like go undropped, come back and make the best thing. That was like the first kind of what you said, like your tournaments, like you're just in them, man. You're fishing. And I knew at some point, like as the business and all the stuff was growing and you're trying to balance that, when it's the rut and I couldn't go hunting because of a board meeting, or there was like, oh, sorry, we got this meeting, I can't go. And I'm like, where are my priorities at right now? Because I love it so much, and it's like there's a fine balance you got to figure out along the way and celebrate, but at the same time you gotta keep the needle moving right on everything.
Yeah.
It can get a little bit rocky at times, but then I think eventually you
always come back.
You always come back to that balance of like, why am I doing what I'm doing first off, and am I more valuable out there or am I more valuable in here? And I think we asked ourselves that question, and you got to find the right team around you and the right amount of, you know, support that you can do what eventually got you to where you're at, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's the cool part.
Yeah, because if you don't stay true to yourself, I mean, you can really quickly get burnt out on all of it.
Yeah, on all of it, real fast, and then it becomes a real issue because then you don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
it's like I'm kind of.
And then you're like, who am I? You know,
That's a bad spot.
And I'll be honest with you, I've gotten my first taste of that over the last year or so, and it's just like, man, you know, and I think. And honestly, like, if I would have kept having some success, I don't think it would have put me in the perspective that I've had this year, getting my tail kicked in these last 5 events. I'm like, dang, man, that stuff really still means a lot to me.
Yeah.
You know, now it doesn't mean that I haven't, can't still be successful for my business partners and have a positive impact on people and all that. But it's like, man, it just brought me back to what got me to where I'm at. And it's almost just give some perspective to me to say, hey, look.
That's why I say doing the thing.
Yeah,
like that's
keep it reined in.
Yeah, do the thing. Yeah. You know, the old Pareto principle. When you look at 80% of your results come from 20% of your effort. I don't know if you guys have ever looked in and studied that, but I mean, in all reality, 80% of your results are 20% of come from 20% of the effort.
Yeah, for sure.
And so when you look at that, that's a great lens to kind of evaluate what you're doing and what you love and where your passions are. Because if you're getting those results from tournament fishing, or we're getting the results from being in the backcountry and doing drops and doing all the stuff that we do, like, man, that's where the core focus needs to lie. Yeah. And then you find the support team around you to help with all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And you get in those zones, those like success zones where you're just like, man, you're so focused and you're able to micromanage everything else going around you and just flying and everything's working and everything. It's just like you see people that are really successful getting those modes where it's like, man, they're able to manage all this stuff all at once, be very successful doing so. But that all has a short time lapse, like it is, and it's like if you could figure a way out how to bottle that up, harness it,
that flow state.
Holy smokes, man! Because I mean, I look back at the way I was managing things a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I'm like, man, we were rocking and rolling, like everything was just easy, it was flying, and you just got to figure out a way to get back to that mojo,
Well, I think that's the whole going back to like simplicity of things, just keeping it simple. You know, I mean. When I get what you're saying, when you're in that state and everything's going right, like for me, it's when I'm in the field. Yeah. Like the more I'm in the field, the better everything goes. Yeah. And the more I get out of the field, the worse I am.
Same.
So as a human, as a husband, as everything, man.
Isn't that? I mean, if we could just hunt and fish all the time, man, life be
life be all right.
Well, they said become a professional fisherman, become a professional hunter, and you'll love it. Yeah. They don't know what goes on behind the scenes of all of it. I think for me, it's like I tend to thrive in the chaos, to your point of like micromanaging a bunch of stuff. I thrive in the chaos, but and then when it gets quiet, I don't know what to do. I get a little bit antsy, and that's where I turn to the outdoors as much as I can. Yeah. Like if I know we're going on drops, I know that's going to be 28, 30 days of disconnect to reconnect. Completely like, okay, I can just be in this moment. I don't need all the other stuff. And that's like a level set for me, which it could be just, going out on the boat and just spending a morning fishing without having the cameras, without having the tournament, without just like that moment. And it's like, for me, there's certain parts of the outdoors that bring me right back. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. Back into the chaos. Yeah.
Well, it's really unique that you're able to do that also while producing a really awesome show. Yeah. It's been very successful. Yeah. But, I mean, how awesome is it? Take a step back and look at the fact that you can disconnect and get that, what you need, and produce. I mean,
and make a show
and be working. That because, I mean, like, I can't necessarily just step off into a tournament. And now I will say this though, that is I can kind of relate to that, because let's say it's a big tournament, I'm leading, and there's just all, you got all these distractions, people, and it's good distractions. It's good attention and everything, and it's a good vibe and everything, but it's loud, man. Everything's like, there's so much going on. You're like, man, I just got to focus on trying to do well today, and like so much going on. But whenever that boat leaves the dock, it's like everything just goes.
And then it's just you and the fish.
So I can relate to that.
For me, when I smell the gas going into the plane, and I hear that prop fire up, that's where my body goes.
Avgas.
That's like, oh my gosh.
You say avgas, I say gas. That's when I start to pop the old pills.
Oh yeah,
and go night night.
He's not a flyer. He's not a turbulence man at all. He's already got the weather check for September to see what we're gonna have.
Speaking of that, I'd hate to know how much that plane dropped last night. I just knew that was the end of it when I was flying in here, man. When we took off out of Houston, like we just got cruising, and I don't know. I've never been in a plane that it's just like. Man, I was like, this is it.
Hit a pocket.
This is it, man. I'm done.
Did it just drop, or?
Yeah, it just seemed like it just dropped, and then it I don't know, it picked back up. We were going.
I don't like the drops.
Dude, I did not.
Don't like the drops.
I've never. I mean, I haven't been in a bunch of bush planes and stuff like that. It's probably not uncommon with that.
Oh no. God, no! The whole
on
thing
United
is
Airlines 685.
But you don't have error because that probably dropped 5,000 feet. There, that's in the ground with a bush plane because you're only 1,000 feet up. You don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Wherever your adventure takes you, count on Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's to make it memorable. From the timberline to the campsites to the lake and the range, get your family outfitted with the right gear. With premium brands like Worldwide Sportsman, Ascend, Instinct, Redhead, and Natural Reflections, they've got the apparel and the gear to make it the best adventure ever. Stop by today for a one-of-a-kind shopping experience in-store or online at BassPro.com and Cabela's.com. See for yourself at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's stores. Your adventure starts here. All right, let's talk about beer for a second. You ever notice there's a big difference between Busch Light drinkers and other beer drinkers? I like to say we live on the wild side. You know, a guy with a Busch Light in his hand, he's a man of the people. He's out there in the wild every day. He's in the trenches smashing bushies with a smile on his face. You know why? Because he doesn't care. He's not looking for a soulmate. He just needs something to wash that damn jerky down. And he's got himself a 12-pack of Freedom in a can. And when that can gets cracked, it's like opening a door to a whole different world. It's just a vibe. And if you haven't felt it, you should. So go grab yourself a case of Bushies, give them a rip, and take a walk on the wild side. You've got things that matter. Memories, heirlooms, documents, firearms. And we all know that life is unpredictable. At Winchester Safes, they make sure life's unpredictable moments don't take those things from you. They use state-of-the-art methods that refuse to sacrifice quality. They put everything they have into their products, offering proven protection and peace of mind. There's only one safe company worthy of the title, the American Legend, and that's Winchester Safes. Follow at Winchester Safes or learn more on winchestersafes.com. Let's talk about Mountain Ops, a brand that I rely on to fuel my fire in more ways than one. I could sit here and talk about how undeniably essential Ignite is to my daily life. I could explain the benefits of the Super Greens, and I could ponder out loud how they got those Super Greens and Super Reds for that matter to taste so damn good. Or I could just give you a quick look into who they are as a company, because to me that matters more than anything. So here it is. They recognize God and acknowledge His hand in all things. They believe in being worthy of others' trust. They're reliable and honest with their information. And lastly, they take full and personal responsibility for their actions and the outcomes. There you have it. If you want to learn more about Mountain Ops and stay connected, check them out on social media at Mountain Ops or head on over to their website, mountainops.com. And remember, if you want to save some cash, use code Keefer. If this rings true with you real quick. Every hunter wants to fish more, and every fisherman wants to hunt more.
Is that true?
Oh, I mean, for me, it is. It's I'm just like, gosh dang, man, if I could just catch enough bass to deer hunt all fall, I'm good. Man. That's whenever life was really, because, man, the first few years, it's just me. I didn't have a house. I was bumming, sleeping on couches, doing whatever. Yeah. I started making a little money, and it was like, I'm going to sleep in a tent all fall and, hunt public land and chase deer all. I was living out of my truck, man. It was just like, that was just living the dream,
Yeah, man.
And then, life happens.
Life
and
catches up.
That's all part of it. You can't live like that your whole life. And I'm thankful for those obligations, like I said earlier. I'm thankful for those other responsibilities, but that was really cool. And I still, to this day, like, man, I mean, I'm always racing the fall. I love it. I love it. And I still really love fishing. I don't want to take away from that at all.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge of it. Like, I enjoy the putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And every day going out there, and my work environment is a new playing field with different environmental factors and everything that goes into being successful. And I enjoy the heck out of that. The same way that I enjoy chasing deer, especially on public land and trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
I can agree with all that. I think what's different, so for me, we hunt for a living on the hunt side, right? Where fishing comes in for me is the pressure's not there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you feel that, because the pressure for you in tournaments is there. Right. But when you're hunting, you're just like, I'm just doing me.
I don't know. I'm so competitive. Like, I'm hyper competitive. So, like, it's just me in public land, but I'm mad as hell at them deer. You know, like, dude, I'm so competitive. I mean, it's not about anybody else. It's just me. Like I'm competitive against myself. So like, and I've really honestly like I've had to kind of rein that in a little bit because I can see myself like almost taking the enjoyment out of that, even in itself, because I'm being so competitive, like just wanting to figure the deer out.
And it happens. I mean, it's taken over our lives a lot. Yeah. And I think because we can share in the intensity of it all, it takes a little bit of the pressure off each other because we can talk it through and we're part of the same, we're on the same ground, so we can talk about the same deer. We can try to unlock, you know, what's going on out there. But yeah, I can see how if you're on public land and you're just the lone survivor out there finding deer, it can be frustrating.
I've driven myself in the ground, which we can all relate to that. But I mean, you just hunt in daylight till dark every single day for weeks on end, and then it's like walking miles and miles and miles scouting, and then you get back to the truck, and then there's 150-inch deer standing there in broad daylight by the truck, and you're just like, what an idiot! What am I doing? I'm doing it. Like I'm trying way too hard.
There's no greater motivator than you versus you.
Yeah.
But it also drives you to do some shit where you're like,
absolutely.
Why did I do that?
Yeah,
you know
and that's me. Like, but that's what drives me. Yeah. Like, you know, I mean, I love that challenge.
Well, there's definitely a competitive nature to what we do, no question about it. But I mean, I've read a lot of stories, especially recently, of deer camps, people that are in camps together, that friends that are, because I think deer hunting has been driven to a competitive space, right? Where it started off as, let's go here, we all got this nice land together, and then all of a sudden these two guys, they picked up land down the road, and this guy wasn't in it, and then all of a sudden it's like, and then the whole hunting camps dispersed. Fractured. And they're like, and I read the story, it was online not too long ago, and then, you know, they had to kind of get together and go, what did we start this for? Yeah. They're like, well, now we don't even hunt together. You hunt by yourself over there. You're trying, what are we doing? And they got back together and they let go all the leases and they started to hunt again together. And they were like, man, this is way more fun. But it was competitive nature of like, I got to shoot the bigger deer. And it drove them to absolutely separate the whole farm. I just thought it was a really interesting story because deer hunting is like that now. I mean, everybody's trying to kill the biggest deer they can versus, man, just slow down.
Yeah.
Enjoy camp.
Yeah. And that's what I enjoy about our camps. Is that we pull for each other. Yeah. I mean, there is no, that's my deer, that's my stand, I'm hunting that deer. Like, it's always been, we want each other to succeed. Because I think we love the story regardless. And I think that's the difference maybe about just kind of the way we see it is, at least me, I just want the story to happen. I don't care who does it. I don't care who does it in our camp. I want to be part of the story, and I want to be there when it happens so I can have that. And I'd rather have that for somebody than nobody but me. I
want to be standing around the skinning shed listening.
Yes.
You know, like the story time and listening to what went down and hearing it all, because I don't know, for me, like we've killed lots of animals. I've killed lots of deer over the years.
And genuinely excited for someone that kills one, like for real. I mean, even when, you know, I'll catch myself a lot of times, we go to these events, Bass Pro, Cabela's and so on. How was your season? And the answer is, well, we shot a 160 and then we shot a, not I killed or something, like a lot of us are like, we shot this, like, cause we did it together as a group, like right? So group, so it's like we shot a 160 this year and then we shot like 6 turkeys. Even though I didn't kill one, I was with everybody that did. So it's like, you know, you tend to kind of tell yourself that in stories of groups like that. It's just naturally what happens. But I think there's a lot to be said about that moving forward with the way hunting's going.
For sure.
Taking that competitive out and just get back to that camaraderie and be genuinely happy. Hunters are the worst enemy of hunters when it comes to, like, especially online. Oh, yeah. They're just brutal. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in turkey videos. We've seen it in stuff we put out online. We're the worst enemy of each other when it comes to that. You know, it's like, can't believe you shot that with a crossbow. Okay, well, so what? You know I don't crossbow hunt, but my God, he still shot that. That's a nice buck. He was still sitting in the tree.
Did it make him happy?
Exactly.
Did he get something out of it?
You know,
then that's all that matters.
And the measurements of deer, like, man, I'd never shoot that. He's a 2-year-old, he's a 3-year-old, and there's a kid in the picture. It's like, it's probably his first buck or a second buck. Let him happen.
The only deer that I've measured in the last, I don't know how many years, is because Gabe measured it. Yeah. That's he's just big.
Oh, he loves it, man. He
I do like to know the score.
He has a tape in his pocket.
I age him first, then score him.
But he kills big deer, though, so he's allowed to have a tape. He kills a lot of big deer.
Don't say that.
All right, he's killed one big deer.
Not gonna fit
Still can't see him. He's in the shadows over there, scrolling through his.
Well, honestly, I have seen, like, you know, unfortunately, the the nasty side of deer hunting, you know, just in the environment that I grew up in a little bit, and that's what drove me to hunting public land, you know, just to not have to deal with it. I just go hunt open land, and anybody tell me,
see what happens.
as long as I'm within the laws and doing it. And then like you and it's actually really refreshing because, man, like seeing like the bad side of the hunting lease, hunting club thing, you know, which I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. I really don't. I think it's gotten a lot better. But seeing that bad side, but then like getting around the public hunting community, and of course there's some drama there too, but man, like it seems like everybody's pulling for each other. You know, like you see a guy like in the woods that shot a nice deer on public land, like you're happy for him.
Yeah.
Like he has every right to do that as much. And I think a lot of those people, like they understand that, you know, and it's cool. It was really refreshing to see that, honestly. You know,
that's cool.
Just being happy for other people that are having success. I mean,
I think some of that public land thing is like those guys coalesced around the fact that they were public land hunters. Like a lot of these guys have done that, right? And where it used to be competition, now it's a brotherhood of like, hey, we're all public land hunters doing this together kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
On the fishing side, what's the white whale? Like, what have you, like that one trip, man, I got to do this one someday. Do you have anything like that? Whether it's salt or freshwater, or is there anything like that? Yeah.
Man, so Lake Fork is definitely like a destination. Like you should, like if you enjoy largemouth bass fishing, like you need to go to Lake Fork. Like it is, without a doubt, just a top tier destination. I mean, there's no other public lake that I know of that you can go to and have an opportunity to catch an 8-pound bass every day that you go there. It's just phenomenal.
Man.
Really?
It is. I mean, it's unbelievable how many, 5 to 7, 8-pound bass are in that place, and it's just a lot of fun. It really is. It's just a classic historic fishery. And then as far as up north, there's so many good fisheries up north for smallmouth bass, and like that's my other, like I love fishing up north for smallmouth. Yep. They've always kind of fit my strengths of fishing and the way that I like to fish, and I took like a southern power fishing approach to northern smallmouth fishing. Like you don't have to necessarily finesse them as much, and it's like that we once thought. They're just aggressive fish by nature, so it just fit the way that I like to fish. So that's always really, really a lot of fun for me. Sturgeon Bay is probably the best, I think. St. Clair is phenomenal. The St. Lawrence River, Champlain, Cayuga Lake in New York. I caught a 710 there. That was really cool. Yeah.
Damn.
It was the biggest one I ever caught in tournament competition, like in professional tournament competition.
Damn.
710.
She was huge. I wish I would have measured her and got a replica made or something, but it was in a Bass Pro Tour event, which was catch, weigh, release, and I literally caught her, weighed her, and I was about to turn loose. It's like, hey, wait, let me get a picture. I was in tournament mode. It was a championship day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so we took a picture, and that was it. So off she just went away. But I wish I would have got a replica made of that fish. But Cayuga is really special. But like I said, there's so many, and we were talking about different lakes and stuff up here.
Yeah.
That I haven't even been to. There's a lot of little gems up here that are phenomenal.
A lot of good ones.
Small
a lot of
fishing.
rivers. Some great rivers too.
We got phenomenal smallie fishing.
I'm not going to name any river names, but within 45 miles of here, some of the best smallie river fishing I've ever been a part of.
And shallow, like wet weight.
Rock.
Like just
rock shallow.
Stuff, like
And
fun fishing.
I haven't done it as much here recently, but man, fishing at the highest level of professional bass fishing and stuff, I still get just as much enjoyment going way to creek with a little spinning pole and catching fish and doing that. That
'Cause it's about
that's
fishing.
your core value. Man, if you lose sight of that, I think you should just find something else to go do.
Go do something else.
I agree, 100%. Those small creeks are, I don't know.
And that's,
most rewarding.
we talk about the big hunting debate and what's right, what's wrong, and this and that. And, I don't see the controversy on the hunting side of things as much, thankfully, yet, because I'm not as involved on the hunting side of things. But I do see it on the fishing side. And that's what's so frustrating because it's, quit fighting, man. Quit telling me that quit getting mad about a dude shooting a deer with a crossbow.
Yeah.
Quit getting mad about a dude catching a bass with live scope. If you don't want to do it, don't do it that way. If your enjoyment is going way to creek, then go way to creek and enjoy the day.
Exactly.
Just enjoy it, man, and don't be mad at me for doing it a certain way. Or I'm not gonna be. And in the same sense, I shouldn't judge you for the way you fish. As long as it's within, regulations and not
make it legal. If it's legal way to do it and it's open, do it. At least you're out here and you're helping our sport. You bought a license. You bought camouflage. You did all the things that you had to do in order to help our sport. So that's, to me, I think that you're helping it out. And if you want to do that and that makes you happy, good on you, man. Like, get after it.
Yep.
You know. Now there's people that give it a bad name, the illegal people, all that. Yeah, you know what? You should all be turned into jail if you're going to do it illegally. So, but speaking of, you got a pretty big controversy in the fishing space not too long ago. This was last year with the weights.
Oh yeah,
the guy sticking weights down in there. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think the bass fishing industry got a bad rap for that. We had nothing to do with it.
It had nothing to do with that.
But dude, man, I got buddies I used to rodeo with in Australia. Literally, I swear, one of these guys I knew from rodeoing back in the day. He lives in Australia, and he called me. He's like, "Mate, what are y'all doing over there?" Like the weights.
That
the
video
like,
blew.
It was on the news in Australia. I'm like, "Holy smokes, we hit it big."
Blew up, man. That was
Gosh,
insane.
it was a big deal.
And those dudes have been doing it
forever.
for years.
And then I think he had felonies for doing stuff illegally hunting too.
Yeah,
I think he killed a bunch of deer.
That is astronomical. Like I just. It's unfathomable to me that someone was like, "Hey, throw some."
And they're suspicious. They were suspicious of those guys for a while.
Yeah.
And so they sniffed something was going on, and then when they finally started pulling those weights out, those guys were going ape shit because they knew. They're like, I know it.
But I mean, they had like stole
hundreds of thousands of
dollars.
Yeah. For anybody listening that doesn't know, I'll give a quick recap. So in a walleye tournament, 2 guys were caught stuffing basically lead weights and lead balls in the bellies of walleye.
Yeah.
So that when it came weigh-in time, they obviously would win these tournaments. And they went by scot-free, as I understand it,
for a couple years.
For like a couple years.
Yeah.
To your point, taking hundreds of thousands of dollars, winning boats,
And what's so wild about it is the fish that they had, and I don't know the fine details of everything, but we heard enough about it. But the fish that those guys had that day were big enough to win.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without even putting the damn weights
in there.
And then, like, dude, they didn't put like 1 ounce lead weights in them. They put like 6, 7, 8 ounce, like
cannonballs.
Yeah. Like, what an idiot. Dude, you weren't even discreet about it for one. Number 2, you would have won without even the weights.
Yeah.
So, like, but that just probably shows how, like, arrogant they were in a sense that they didn't really care about getting caught too bad, you know, like
that's insane.
Just nuts, man.
Yeah, it was the Lake Erie Walleye Trail.
Yep.
That was in Cleveland.
Takes all kinds, man.
It's unbelievable that they would even do that.
I forgot this. They stuffed walleyes with weights and fillets.
Yeah, they also had fillets.
They had fillets in there. That's right.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I guess I don't know. I guess that to just add weight and then probably try to pad the weights.
Probably just cover it up almost, like stuff it.
But it didn't work.
That's insane.
And so to that point, those guys got caught doing that, and there's been some stuff on the bass fishing side that's guys have gotten caught in the last couple of years doing stuff they weren't supposed to do. Where they get information in our tournaments and stuff, or there's been some cheating stuff, going on, but. And on the hunting side, guys killing deer illegally. That guy that killed a deer in Ohio last year, that was a huge deal.
Oh, big deal, yeah.
So I say all that to say this, though. I don't think that there's less integrity because immediately with the social media and what people want to, their narrative there is, everybody's lost their integrity, and the world's going to shit and all this stuff. And I don't agree with that at all. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Reality of it is that social media has plenty of downfalls, but one good thing about it is news travels like wildfire. There's cameras everywhere. Like, you can't get away with stuff like you once could. Yeah. There's not any less, people aren't cheating any more now than what they are. I think, as a matter of fact,
way less.
I actually think there's actually probably way less cheating. Yeah.
Poaching,
and people are being held accountable more so now than they ever have before. We just hear about it. And so it sounds really bad.
Yeah.
But in reality, man, people were able to get away with that stuff scot-free for years and years and years. There was nobody going to check them. Yep. Nobody knew that some of these deer that are in the record books were killed illegally. How the hell? They wouldn't have known they were shot at night. Yep. But now, like, trail cameras and everything, everything's monitored.
It's going to come out eventually.
And there's some downsides of that, but there's also the fact that, hey, people that do illegal stuff and are shady usually get exposed. Yeah. So that's a positive.
Yeah. And there's bad apples in everything. Sure. I mean, it's all across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For some of us, the hunt never stops. Grizzly understands that more than most. Rugged, reliable, and built to never back down. Whether you're on the trail, by the water, or deep in the dark timber, Grizzly is by your side. Tough enough to take on the wild and ready for whatever you can throw. Grizzly is committed to products that never let you down, always on the hunt, with Grizzly.
Out here in the wild, precision isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Leupold Optics is built on the foundation of American craftsmanship, where every features function first. For over a century now, they've combined dedication and technology with a relentless put-it-to-the-test attitude, creating optics that stand up when everything else stands down. When it matters most, you need the best. That's what you get with Leupold Optics. While other companies out there warranty failure, Leupold guarantees performance for life.
Some call it out on the trail. I like to call it the road less traveled. The kind of place where the going gets tough. That's where Tracker Off-Road comes in. Made for those who won't back down. Tracker Off-Road delivers the hardest working machines with the greatest capability at the strongest value in the industry. Built by those who know what it takes and designed for those who don't turn back. Tracker is dedicated to delivering machines that let you get the most out of your day and your dollar. Ready to take on your next adventure? Go with Tracker Off-Road.
Every shot counts. And when it's time to make it count, you want the best. Winchester Ammunition has built its legacy on a commitment to innovation by continuously pushing what's possible. In the heartland of America, the American legend crafts ammunition that's purpose-built, reliable, accurate, and ready to perform no matter how harsh the conditions. Whether you're hunting or shooting for sport, Winchester will be there.
Casey and I went down to the Bass Pro, the Pyramids, and we kicked off the U.S. bow fishing.
I heard about that.
That thing was unbelievable. Have you ever bow fished before?
I haven't, but I mean,
I got to tell you,
it's a
next
big
time you
deal.
come up here, we got to go to Saginaw Bay. We got to go bow fishing. Neither have Casey and I. It was glaringly apparent by the way I performed in the bow fishing tournament that was
different
down there.
shooting one out of water,
Yeah,
huh?
let me tell you something. I couldn't even get the damn arrow to knock. But what I was going to ask you is, we're down there and there's a group of boats, right? And we're leading them out of the pyramid, and there's just an energy around it. What's that energy like on day one in the water when you're ready to go? I mean, it's got to be something where it's like all of a sudden those engines start and you start going. I mean, there has to be an adrenaline pump going.
It's high, man. Like, and I'd say the Elite Series is second to none. I've really enjoyed my experience on the Elite Series. I haven't got to enjoy it as much as I would if I'd been doing better. But I remember, like, it was funny because I don't know how many, the hundreds of professional events that I've been in over the last 10 years, this was my first year fishing on the Elite Series, and day one at Okeechobee, I was like,
You didn't,
Like your first time all over
it was
again.
in St. John's River. I'm like, man, like I have rookie jitters right now. I am. This is I'm wrecked, dude. I
love that,
man.
though.
There was so many people there, and it was just
so great,
so much energy, man.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then, I mean, the Classic. I haven't been in a Bassmaster Classic yet, and but the energy in that is just wild. Thousands of people that take off, and it's exciting, and it's just so cool to see people fired up about fishing, and see the industry growing in the way that it is, and all the youth involvement in it and stuff. Is there's a lot of opportunities for it to even get better, and I think that it will over time. The fishing industry as a whole is kind of young. We think about it, NFL, MLB, golf, all that's been around for a long time. In a fishing industry, we're 20, 30 years into this, really, and so we're still pretty young, but it's growing, and that atmosphere seems to get a little better every year, and it's pretty cool.
Well, now college scholarships are being done and everything.
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine if I'd have found out in high school in the 90s that I could go to college and do. I would have absolutely looked into that. Like, that would have been a thing. And now I see guys doing. I think Waddell's son graduated. He was on. Like,
he was on the team.
College, bass fishing team, stuff like that. I mean, that's incredible to see. That.
Yeah,
that's a real thing right now.
I just had this conversation with Ryder, my oldest son, the other day.
Yeah.
Right now, he's like, "Hey, Dad," he's like, "Do you know if I went to?" He's talking about Adrian.
Yeah.
Which is a school
Adrian's
here.
got a big fishing team.
He's like, "Hey, if I went to Adrian, I could bass fish and play hockey."
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, what else does a college kid need to do? Like, if
Whether or not he passes or
what
not, who
difference
knows?
is,
But I
man?
mean, he might get distracted from fishing and playing hockey. But I mean, at least he has the opportunity to go get an education.
Yeah.
And some of these kids are coming from financial backgrounds that didn't really. They needed that opportunity, and they're able to go out, go fish in ponds, and learn how to fish, and have actually the opportunity to go get a scholarship and a better education from fishing. How daggum cool was that?
Well, there's a push too to have bass fishing as part of the Olympic Games. In 2028 potentially, which would be
that'll be incredible.
Well, it's back in LA, or it's in the States anyway, and obviously the tournament wouldn't be where the city is,
ceremony,
right, but it would be somewhere probably nearby ish.
Yeah, Clear Lake. There's plenty of like really good fisheries in California.
Yeah.
And I haven't. I mean, you may know even more about it than I have, but I've heard some rumors of that talk. I know they're trying to get it done. I know that we're going to South Africa here in a couple months for the World Championship of bass fishing there, and there'll be countries from all over that are going to be competing in South Africa in that tournament. So they've been having that for several years now. This will be my first opportunity to really go and compete in it. But I know next year, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm pretty sure that tournament is going to be in Hamilton, or at Lake Hamilton in Arkansas. And that's going to be hopefully another step in the direction of getting it part of the Olympics. So
Yeah,
I think Johnny's a big advocate of that too.
Well, if he has anything to do with it,
he's trying to help with that.
He'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I just think that's so cool. The Olympics and bass fishing. Again, going back to like when I was a kid, if you had told me that, I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Well, I didn't think golf would be in there either, and all of a sudden here we are. Right? They're getting the golf in there.
I think a lot of it's driven though the interest with the young kids.
Yeah.
Like my son, he's 14 years old, and some of these teenagers are just eating up with bass fishing.
Oh yeah, man.
It's incredible.
Well, it's great. It gets them outside.
Yeah.
There's way worse things they could be doing.
I agree.
Most
Get me
things
out of
worse.
trouble. I know that.
No doubt.
Well, I think that's awesome, man. I've always wondered, just to circle back on that, I always just wondered what it was like, you get all these boats parked there, you're getting ready, and you just go, I know what it's like standing in the locker room, getting ready to hit the ice, right? It's like the music's playing, you're ready to go, and it's like, there's like the pre-jitters, you got to take a piss all of a sudden, and you didn't have to. And like all these things are happening, and then it's like, boom.
The nervous piece.
The nervous piece,
That used to happen right before the buck and shoots would open when I was on the bull riding side of things.
Yeah,
you got to go pee.
Yeah, but
really.
you don't. But you feel, I know exactly what you mean. You get the nervous pisses, the nervous peas, as they say.
Quick story. My first bass fishing experience is a long story, and it's a good one. I don't have time for it. But the very first time we had like a 20-horse outboard on a John boat, and this was probably in 1992, right on Wixom Lake. Yep. And Woody and I dropped the old boat in. This is our lake. Like, we're gonna win this.
Yes,
we know we're gonna win. We know where all the fish are, but they were up, in the river. So we had like a 7 mile run. So we drew the first paddle. So bam, we drew number one. Like, hell yeah, man. We can launch first. Yeah. So it's dark, and we're nervous, and we get in there, and all of a sudden we didn't know much about bass fishing tournaments whatsoever. And then all these like Rangers are dropping in, these skeeter boats. I mean, we're like,
you got a 20-horse.
We thought this was like a derby. This was not a derby.
Were you in the dinghy that Tommy Boy was in when he was sitting out there floating in the water?
Pretty much. And to
How
make
fast
it worse,
did they go by you?
so fast. And to make it worse, there was this boat was in Woody's grandpa's barn, and it leaked oil all over. There's oil all over the bottom of the boat, so you couldn't stand up. You'd fall on your ass. And then we realized you had to have life jackets on here. So we dug around, and we both had these oily orange neck
ones.
jackets.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
And we looked like assholes, and we were in high school. So we drew first paddle, and we're like, doesn't matter now. We got all these, 175, 200 horse outboards, and we start going, and I'm holding up the paddle because it said you got to hold your paddle up. So I'm holding the paddle up 30 goes by, 40 goes by, and they're all going to the spot where we wanted to go. So by the time we get there, the sun's way up. It's like an hour and a half later. I got oil all over me, and we have an aerator because then the day before we read the regulations, we got to keep these fish alive. So God damn it. So we can't throw them on a
At least you read the regulations. That's a new start. So we're good
Pretty
there.
similar to my first college tournament experience.
Can't
but not
throw them
quite
on a
as bad.
stringer. God damn it. So we get this orange tub from a company that sold plastic tubs in town, threw it in there. We got an aerator from C&J's general store, and we got that baby ripping. So we have the live well going. We got the jackets. We got oil, but we're going to our spot.
You're gonna win.
They can't get in as far as us because we got the John boat.
Yeah.
So we get back in there. We catch one fish all day. We get our asses kicked. So then we got to head back for weigh-in. On the way back, we run out of gas. We never even make weigh-in. Row it back. I mean, it was a debacle.
With your one paddle.
And on the way out, to make it worse, this is just, I'm surprised we even did tournaments again. So I'm on the boat, and Woody backs the trailer in, and they're doing the weigh-in and giving all the, 14 pounds, 7 ounces, big bass, So we wanted to, under the cover of darkness, get the boat out so no one saw us. So real secretly get it out. So he backs in. He's got an old F-150 two-wheel drive, gets her in there. It's a little slick. I pull the boat up, and I was just going to ride it up ride it up. God damn it, if that boat didn't fall out. I'm in the boat, in the parking lot, sitting in the boat.
On the pavement.
And Woody takes off. I'm like, oh, stop, boom, boom. And I'm sitting in there, and everybody turns around and looks at these two assholes with the John boat.
You're just sitting in the boat in the parking lot.
That boat made a lot of noise.
It was so loud. It was so loud. It fell from the sky. And I didn't have my orange jacket on. I threw that off, and we loaded it up, grabbed it, threw it on there, got out of there, and never came back for a year. Worst experience of all time.
That's a pretty good
one. But best experience of all time.
Good story now.
Great story.
Yep. Those are the best. When you can laugh all those years later. I just want to see you in the parking lot in the boat.
Yeah, just sitting in the boat. I just can imagine those boats flying by you with those big, those trackers and nitros just ripping.
Well, the waves.
We got a visual in my head.
Yeah, so do I. And he's like
black
Walter
smoke
Matthau.
coming out.
And it just.
Then it became funny, so they'd come up, I hold the number one paddle at them, and they'd see it and they'd laugh.
Take off. You ever get in a race for a spot where you get like a little bumper boat action where you're like, no, you're not going to my spot. Is there any Rubbins racing?
Racing a boat.
You're like,
that's not really good.
Yeah.
That doesn't go well. But yeah, no, for sure. I mean, there's definitely times where you're trying to get.
You see him turn left, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, dude, it's unbelievable. We'll be on a 150,000 acre lake with 100 people. And I'll be dang if you don't find the same crap as everyone else.
The same stuff. Yeah.
Well, now just nothing's a secret, man. So the mapping is so well, and everything is just so so. I mean, it's just tough, So now that's it's really made people. You have to. I mean, the best stuff on the lake never plays out because it's too obvious. Yeah. Fish get on obvious things, and so that always gets wore out. By the time the tournament even starts. So it's always about finding that little sneaky thing that no one else finds. But then, you're running a lake and you see so and so like ahead of you, and you're like, oh, we ain't going there.
And then you see him and you're like, oh, he's going there. And then you got to course correct, and now you're all the way down here, and you got it's like, where do I go?
And that goes back into strategy, and not getting too dialed in on one specific spot. Like you're a lot better off by figuring out a pattern or something you can duplicate all over the lake rather than relying on a certain thing.
Is there unwritten rules on distance? Like, is there like, hey, you're encroaching into my territory? Is there some unwritten rules between fishermen?
There's definitely some etiquette. As the same in anything else in life. Just treat other people the way you want to be treated. That's the way I approach every situation. If I do something that would make me uncomfortable, somebody else was doing it, I'm just going to not do it.
Yeah.
But does that always get followed? Hell no.
Yeah.
There's definitely some people that don't care about you and what you're doing.
Here to win, I don't care.
Zero respect for it. But there is, so a boat like that's power pole down or anchored down, with the trolling motor up in the stow position, you can't fish within a certain distance of them.
Okay.
But that's also kind of an unwritten rule that you don't do that. Like that's kind of chicken. Yeah. But I'm not saying it hadn't happened, but it's pretty much. Most situations are pretty
good.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Respectful anyway.
Is there a little bit of gamesmanship going on there, though? A little trash talk happen between you and some of the guys, or
man, I usually
even in fun. You know what I mean?
I don't run my mouth much. I kind of try to let my fishing talk.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'm not much of a talker.
Dude, we're hockey players. We talk shit all the time. Yeah, on everything, nonstop.
We exploit people.
Yeah.
That's what happens. It's too funny. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you sitting down with us. We had an hour conversation about fishing. It's fascinating to me because we just don't get around guys other than getting to talk with KVD all the time. You know, Kevin Van Dam, he's a mutual friend of ours, and he's just so great for the industry. But we don't get to sit down, so it's awesome. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're visiting us with us. I'm excited about some things we could be doing together here coming up, so everybody better look out for that. It's going to be fun.
You bet.
So
I've officially learned another thing about JB that I didn't know after 20 years of our relationship. First, I learned Dennis Hopper was his uncle or cousin or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And now that he dropped the SS Minnow in, drew paddle number 1 and got blown out of the water.
It's a long story, and with Woody and I tell it together, it's twice as good.
if I could just see him sitting in that parking lot in that boat, that's all I want to see.
Woody would tell
Just think
it.
if you listen, all this production, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Just think if you had a camera in that moment, you wouldn't even need all this stuff. You'd be famous.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
funny, it's on video.
That's how Bill Dan. I don't know if
You
Bill
could've done
Dan's caught
retired.
more fish or made more bloopers, one or the other. But
Yeah.
Bill Dan's made a career on that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that
Yeah.
much. So that's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming in, man. You guys check out Dakota. Where can everybody find you? Where can they find you?
Dakota Ebare Outdoors, Dakota Outdoors, mainly on Instagram and Facebook. That's kind of the two main profiles or the platforms that I fool with. So
Awesome.
You bet.
Well, good
Thanks
luck
for
on the
stopping,
tournaments,
brother.
man.
Thank you guys for having
man.
me.
Appreciate it. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
We're going to cut these mics, and then you're going to finish telling the rest of that story.
Wilder Minds out.
Mama say it's a new day, son.